Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's lecture, and thank you all for joining us today. We are here to learn about a very rich and important tradition, classical Sinhala poetry. And the title of today's talk is Landmarks of the Classical Sinhala Poetry and the Traditional of Criticism. This lecture will take us on a journey through the history of Sinhala language and literature. We'll learn how Sinhala written and change over different time period. The style and the forms like poem, stories, and advice texts. We'll also learn how people in Sri Lanka thought about, analyzed, and judged their own literature. And importantly, the lecture will show us that even though many old writings were lost, Sinhala literature never stopped. It kept growing from ancient times right through the court period. We'll discover the unique value and influence of Sinhala literature in region, culture, and art. We are incredibly lucky to have an expert with us today to guide us through this fascinating topic. And please join me in welcome our distinguished speaker, Professor Bihesh.
ජනස්ස වාක් සුදා සූතිර් මණි සූතිශ්ච රෝහණක් නාණ්‍යත් සිංහලද්වීපාන් මුක්තා සූතිශ්ච සාගරක්. Rajasekara, the very famous Sanskrit critic and poet in the 10th century, in his drama Balaramayana, said that the country in which citizens always speak sweet words like nectar, which generates gems in the mountain chain of the southern part, and which has a shore which generates the pearls, is only the island of Sinhalese, Sri Lanka. Today, my speech is based on the classical literature of that sweet language. Ms. Tushari, our head of the department, Mr. Nigamuni Mendis, our Tamil teacher, and Mr. Anwanit, our Cambodian teacher, and my friend Sugatsa, the Sinhala teacher of Yunnan University, all the teachers and my loving students, you all are warmly welcome to the speech. I am Bihesh Indika Sampath, a professor in Sinhala at University of Kelaniya, Sri Lanka, and I have been working here for only 1 year on my sabbatical leave. My main subject areas are classical Sinhala poetry and literature. Today my topic is landmarks of classical Sinhala poetry and the tradition of criticism. This is not my outstanding research, but a general speech. Firstly, I would like to say I am not expert in English. Therefore, please neglect my all the defects such as grammatical errors, pronunciation errors, some unsuitable terms. Please try to understand my communication related to the main content, especially my analytical parts and my observations. This speech has been scheduled under 10 chapters, and those are: first one, the introduction to the speech and the background of Sinhala literature; the second, extinct poems of the Anuradhapura period; the third, Sigiriya Fort and Sigiri graffiti; the fourth, Siyabaslakar and the tradition of criticism; fifth one, Polonnaruwa period and Nuwadevadawatha and Sasadawatha; the sixth one, classical books written in the Damadeniya period and Kausilamena, the first gem of poetry. Seventh one, the three periods Yapahava, Kurunagala, Gampola and the two message poems Mayura, Kisaga. Next, Kotte, the golden era of Sinhala poetry. Then trends of poetry in Kotte, especially focusing on Kavashekara, Guttila Kavya, message poems and Parakumba Sirita. Last one, the 10th one is the conclusion of the speech and the discussion of the audience. First one, the introduction to the speech and the background of Sinhala literature. Sinhala, the primary language of Sri Lanka, is a literary language since BCE. The first evidence for the Sinhala literature is the parts of quotes that have been written in the Sinhala letters in the 5th century. According to Mahavamsa, the extraordinary chronicle of Sri Lanka, before the arrival of Buddhism, some royals had written secret letters, and that period and the period of King Pandukabhaya, 4th century BCE, which is explained in the 10th chapter of Mahavamsa, is an example. However, the first strong evidence for the Sinhala literature is the Sinhala commentaries, suttas and inscriptions written in the 3rd century BCE after the arrival of Arahant Mahinda, the son of the Indian Empire Asoka. After that, early Sinhala literature developed speedily using Buddhist plots and resources. This speech discusses the landmarks of Sinhala, landmarks or the milestones of classical Sinhala poetry and the tradition of literary criticism. That means this is not a discussion of all the poems in the classical era, but only an introduction to significant resources. This speech aims to assess the awareness of Sinhala poetry and literary criticism among the university society's people interested in universal literature. This lecture has been limited only to classical era of Sinhala literature. The period from the Anuradhapura period to Kotte period up to 15th century has been considered the classical era. After that, because of the arrival of the Portuguese in 1505 AD, the literature and the world aspect of Sri Lankan society have changed. The Sitavaka, Senkadagala and Kandy periods are the turning points from old literature to the modern literature of Sinhala. Although the Portuguese and Dutch could not achieve the country's middle part, the English did so under an agreement with Sri Lankan king. After that, Colombo was selected as the city of Lanka, and it is the modern era of Sinhala literature. The classical Sinhala literature has been mainly categorized under the kingdoms. However, not all the kingdoms are literary periods. And the Yapahava kingdom, which has not produced any literary work, is an example. Anuradhapura, from the 4th century BCE to the 10th century AD, the first kingdom of Sri Lanka, was the first period of Sinhala literature. Polonnaruwa, from 11th century to 13th century, Damadeniya, the 30th century, Kurunagala in the 40th century, Gampola in the 40th century, and Kotte from the 40th century to 60th century are the following periods of Sinhala literature. As a result of the arrival of South Indian aggressors and natural disasters, Sri Lankan kingdom moved to southwest. Mainly, many resources such as historic books, literary books, Buddhist commentaries, rhetorical and prosodic books, and inscriptions exist to study early Sinhala literature. The Chronicle of Mahavamsa, written in the Pali language, is an excellent source for studying the history and background of early Sinhala literature. The first author of the Mahavamsa is Mahanama Thero, who lived at the Mahavihara, the Buddhist monastery, in the 5th century, and many authors and the panels of authors have completed that chronicle up to 6th volume of 2017. Deepavamsa, Chulavamsa and Vansattappakasini are other Sri Lankan chronicles, and some other Sinhala authors also mentioned the historic incidents in Sri Lanka. According to the first chapter of Mahavamsa, the Buddha had come to Sri Lanka thrice. He rested and preached Dhamma in 16 places, including Mahiyanga, Nagadeepa, Kalaniya and Sripada. The Sripada is considered the mountain where the right foot of the Buddha was established. However, the arrival of Buddha in Sri Lanka cannot be believed. The Buddha could not even travel to all the cities of huge India. Buddhist monks who wrote the Mahavamsa added those things to the ambition of increasing the devotion of the Buddhist society of Sri Lanka. Much literary evidences exists for the arrival of Lord Buddha, but no archaeological evidences exist. However, the arrival of Arahant Mahinda is acceptable. After the achievements of many countries by the Empire King Asoka in India, he used Buddhism to make his image in the world because of his victory in heavy fights. He has sent 9 teams of Buddhist monks to many places worldwide. Arahant Mahinda is one of his sons, and he was sent to Sri Lanka with a team of monks. Devanampiya Tissa was the king of Sri Lanka at that time. According to much literary evidence, King Devanampiya Tissa, the unseen close friend of King Asoka, having become a Buddhist, facilitated the spread of Buddhism in the country. After that, all the kings, not only Sinhala kings, but also Tamil and other kings of the classical era, have contributed to the development of Buddhist society of Sri Lanka according to Mahavamsa and other resources. After the arrival of Mahinda Thero in the 3rd century, some Buddhist commentaries, the Atuas and Suttas, have been translated into Sinhala language. Atua, Sanskrit, Arthakatha and Pali. Arthakatha means a secondary text to understand the complex text or the difficult part of a text. Although the Tripitaka, the 3 primary texts, Vinaya, Sutra and Abhidharma of Buddhism, were prepared for the very first time as text in the period of King Walagamba, the end of the 2nd century BC, at the Aluvihara temple of Matale, there were some Pali commentaries which prepared for the verbal Tripitaka coming from the Buddha's era. From the 3rd century BC, writing Sinhala commentaries based on Pali commentaries was very famous, and those commentaries were named Helatuva. In the 5th century AD, the very famous Buddhist commentator Buddhaghosa Thero came from India to translate Helatuva, the Sinhala commentaries, to Pali again because of the reliability and purity of Sinhala Atuva more than Indian commentaries of that period. From the 5th century to the 7th century, many Pali commentaries have been written as translations of Sinhala commentaries. From the 10th century, those Pali commentaries have been translated into Sinhala again, and the Dampiya Atuva Gatapadaya, the commentary for the Dhammapada commentary, written by King Kashapa V in the 10th century of the Anuradhapura period, and the Jataka Atuva Gatapadaya, the commentary for the Jataka commentary written in the Polonnaruwa period, are examples. Dampiya Atuva Gatapadaya is the oldest Sinhala prose in the present. Although the other Sinhala book, Helatuva, cannot be seen in the present, some citations can be seen, the Pali and Sinhala commentaries from the 5th century. All the Sinhala prose of the classical era depend on Buddhist commentaries. However, some old Sinhala books such as Amavatura and Dharma Pradipika, written by Gurulugomi in the Polonnaruwa period, and Butsaran, written by Vidya Chakravarti in the Polonnaruwa or Damadiniya period, are literally valuable because of the developments of plots, characteristics, backgrounds, dialogues, figures of speech, other language usage, and the visions of those stories. Sulu Kaludavata of Dharma Pradipika is fascinating story based on Chulla Kalinga Bodhi Jataka, and it explains the features of Sinhala prose of that period. Its author, Gurulugomi, has been considered the first story writer in Sinhala literature according to present evidence. Sri Lankan literature has been translated from Pali to Sinhala and Sinhala to Pali again and again. However, Saddharma Ratnavaliya, Joys of Doctrine, written by Dharmasena Thero in the Damadiniya period, the 30th century, and Pansipanas Jatakapota, the collection of 550 Jataka stories written by a panel of authors in the Kurunagal period, are considered a milestone of independent tradition of Sinhala prose. The writers of those two books, having only obtained the main plots from the commentaries, have developed them as independent literary creations. Dhamsarana and Sagasarana, written in the Dabadeniya period, Pujavaliya, written by Buddhaputra Thero, who served as the chief monk of Mayurapada Buddhist monastery in the Dabadeniya period, Thupawansaya, Ummagajataka, Dalandasita, Sinhala Bodhivansaya, Anagata Vansaya, Dalanda Pujavaliya in Kurunagal period, Nikaya Sangrahaya and Saddharma Lanka, written by Dhammakiti Thero II in the Gampula period, and Kuveniyasna and Saddhar Ratnakara, written in Kotte period, are some other important prose works in classical Sinhala literature. The prose and Sinhala verse in the classical era were mainly limited in Buddhist plots of Tripitaka and commentaries. There were many reasons for that. The first one is the combination of Buddhism and Sinhala literature. The nearest reason to the origin of Sinhala literature is the arrival of Arahant Mahinda, and after that Sinhala authors wrote Buddhist books as their responsibility. The second one, the authors of all Sinhala literature were Buddhist monks or devotees. Third one, the old Sinhala authors did not have many extra plots. Their central resource was the Buddhist Tripitaka. The fourth one, the selection of Buddhism as governmental religion. Fifth one, the rule Pedan Buddhisirita of Siyabaslakara was written as a theoretical advisory book for poetry in the Anuradhapura period. That means this is compulsory to select the character of Buddha when written verses. Then my second part. Extinct poems of the Anuradhapura period. Before discussing the second part, the extinct poems of the Anuradhapura period, identifying that kingdom is important. Anuradhapura is about 1500 years in Sri Lankan history, from the 5th century BCE to the end of the 10th century AD. It was built as a great city by King Pandukabhaya, who reigned Sri Lanka in 5th century, and more than 100 Sinhala kings reigned after that. Sri Lankan authors wrote the Sinhala, Pali and Sanskrit books during this period. The monks of Mahavihara monastery contributed to Sinhala and Pali literature, and the monks of the Abhayagiri monastery contributed to Sanskrit language. The grand poem Janaki Haran, written by King Kumaradasa in the 6th century, and the drama Kundamala, written by Dinnaga, are examples of the Sri Lankan Sanskrit books. Those two books were based on Ramayana story. Due to the conflict between the Buddhist traditions Mahavihara and Abhayagiri, many Sanskrit books on Sri Lankan literature have been destroyed. However, the Sri Lankan society has been multilingual since the beginning of the Anuradhapura era, and this is an excellent reason for the development of Sinhala verse and prose. The oldest evidence for the Sinhala verse is some inscriptions that have been written using the meters since the arrival of Arahant Mahinda, and those are parallel with the oldest Sinhala commentaries. According to Senrat Paranavitana, the inscription Kossagama Kanda in Maradam Kadavala of Anuradhapura, which has been written using Yahagi meter, is the oldest Sinhala poem, and it is an inscription which was established in the 2nd or 3rd century BCE. Maharajaha Gamini Abhayaha Devana Piyasa Ramani Baliya Milakatisa Vihare Karite Katiya. By Kati, the charming wife of the great King Gamini Abhaya, dear to gods, has the convent of Malikatisa been caused to be established. Those poetic inscriptions have been seen established in places such as Kirinda and Tissa Maharama since 1st century. However, those are not poems written in generate aesthetic pleasure, but reports written to present some information. Only the poetic value of those poems is the usage of poetic meters. According to literary and historical evidence, many creative books were written in the early Anuradhapura era. Unfortunately, many of those cannot be seen in the present because of many fights, natural disasters and destructions by some aggressors such as Kalinga Maga. Although those poems cannot be seen in the present, there are some evidence of those extinct poems. That evidence are twofold. Information from old resources such as chronicles and the authors, the scholars' idea about extinct poems, and creation and citations of the extinct poems in other post-critical era books. First one, evidence of extinct poems. First one, King Gajaba was mentioned in the Sri Lankan resources Mahavansa Pujavali and Rajavali, and Indian resources such as Silapadikaram, the grand poem of the tragic love story Kannagi, also known as Pattini, and her husband Kovalan, written by Ilango Adigal. The Tamil poet was a great king in the 2nd century AD. According to the 35th chapter of the Mahavamsa, he reigned over the Sri Lankan kingdom 22 years, and Silapadikaram says that he participated in the opening ceremony of the temple which was established in India for the goddess Pattini or the Kannigi in its chapter, the 13th canton. When he returned to Lanka, he brings Tamil poems that are based on devotion of goddess Pattini and other objects to worship, and those poems were translated into Sinhala according to the explanations of modern scholar U.D. Jayasekara, the author of the book Geekave Vagatuga. However, those poems cannot be seen in the present. Second one, in the 6th century, the period of the reign of King Kitsirimevan, after the bring of the tooth relic of Buddha by Prince Danta and Princess Hemamala, the Sinhala poem Elu Dalanda Vansaya was written to explain the history and the offering system according to some resources. Although that poem cannot be seen in the present, its Pali translation Data Vamse and Dalanda Sitta and Dalanda Pujavali, the Sinhala translations of Data Vamse, can be seen in the present. Third one, King Sulumugalan, the clever poet who explained as a lamp of Buddhism and a great scholar by the author of Mahavamsa in the chapter 41, having written poems which related to Buddhism, have been sung by the singers who were seated on the elephants at the end of the Buddhist sermons of monks. Fourth one, according to the inscriptions such as the slab inscription of Anuradhapura, which was established by King Kashyapa V, the author of the oldest Sinhala commentary Dampi Atwa Gatapatya, he caused the Abhidharma discourses to be transcribed on plates of gold and therewith made a great offering, aiming to establish the Buddhist religion. He preached that same Dhamma in his esteemed teacher's presence and extolled the Buddha's virtues in his language. Fifth one, there is evidence of the poems King Sena IV wrote, however, those creations cannot be seen in the present. The second one, the citations of previous poems. Although original books cannot be seen in the present, some citations of those poems can be seen in grammar and prosodic books written by post-authors. Siddharth Sankara and Yasas Lakuna were written in the Damadeniya period, and the Siddharth Sankara Purana Sanya, the old commentary of Siddharth Sankara by unknown author, is very important in this discussion. Both authors, Siddharth Sankara and Sandas Lakuna, have cited the verses or the parts of verses for the examples of those which explain them. And the old commentator of the Siddharth Sankara has introduced some citations in Siddharth Sankara. According to him, the author has cited 4 examples from Asagdakava and 2 from Purana Mayura Sandesh. Asagdakava is a poem written by Asagda Mala, one of the 12 royal poets of the council of King Akbar in the 6th century. That period is considered a significantly developed era of Sinhala poetry. And those 12 poets' names have been mentioned as Saddamala, Asakdamala, Dani, Bamiri, Dalabiso, Prince Anuruddh, Prince Dalagot, etc. in the Nikaya Sangraha written by Dhammakirti Thero II in the Gampola period. There were professional poets, queens and princes in that team. Asakdakava by Asakdamala was based on the Asakdava known as Asamkyavati Jataka. There were three verses of it have been cited by cited as parts, but one has been cited as a complete poem by the author of Siddha Sangraha. The complete poem is Ratata Didi Ihil Vasanaturen Rasandam Kiyava Kara Halala Pehabara Digu Nuanla. This poem is an erotic situation of the story, and the narrator asks something of a lady. He says that to turn her neck and look at him with bright, long, beautiful eyes and say that thing, touching her girdle, having entered her beautiful red hand through her loose clothes. Rasanadama or Rasandama, known as girdle, is a jewel worn on the most secret place, the vagina, by ladies. In this poem, the secret thing the narrator asks is unclear because of the inability to find other nearby verses of the poem. However, according to some critics, this poem is a depiction of the old tradition of Sinhala poetry before the influence of Sanskrit traditions, because of the unuse of poetic figures as well as the special usage of dialogue which discussed as the Ubabastakara in Siddha Sangraha and introduced as an identical figure of Sinhala by some critics such as Semrat Paranukara. The two examples of Siddha Sangraha have been mentioned as citations of Purana Mayur Sandesha by the commentator of the Siddha Sangraha, and those are not complete poems but only one line of a poem. Mayura means the peacock and Sandesha means the message poem. This is not the message poem Mayura written in the Gampola period, but it was written in the Anuradhapura or Kolondama periods. Therefore, this poem has been named Purana, the old Mayura Sandesha. The messenger peacock was the same in both poems. Some critics have decided some other citations in Siddha Sangraha as parts of the poems of Purana Mayur Sandesha, and critics such as Karahampilgoda Sumanasara Thero and Suchirata Gamla have introduced some poems which have been exemplified to explain some meters such as Toholgi and Digovili of Elsanas Laguna. As citations of Purana Mayur Sandesha, they have an example of this poem for the meter Wam Toholgi. Pavatu Siki Sandra Piyan Nalala Talase Panata Mahavatakubu Kelehi Nokalehi. This poem, the poet wishes the peacock to shine like the dot on the forehead of lovely ladies, and he says to it, do not waste water of the pots kept near the roads. This poem has a denotation as well as a connotation. The denotation is based on environmental and physical incidents, and the connotation is based on the feelings of the ladies described in this poem. The peacock is a bird of a rainy season, and its appearance in the sky is an omen of rain. Seeing them is a pleasure for newly married young ladies. Because of the heavy rains, their husband cannot leave their homes, so they can enjoy the cool weather together. The dot on the forehead of ladies symbolize their combination of love, and they erase it at the time of separation. Having seen the peacock in the sky, the people of the general society put away the water from the pots and put those pots near roads to collect fresh water again. If the peacock does not communicate correctly, The idea of both the ladies and the water collector is not fulfilled. In this poem, do not put away the water of pots meaninglessly, which is a suggestion, the Dvanita or meaning of suggestion, relates to the erotic dream of those ladies. According to those critics, this poem may be the greeting of the beginning or the thanking of the end to the messenger, the peacock of the message poem Purana Mayura Sandesha. The study of Elusandas Lakune Nilsun Kavi, the example poems of Sinhala prosodic book Elusandas Lakune by Suchirtha Gamanatha has been widely discussed about many extinct poems with hundreds of examples. Although the original text cannot be seen in the present, many unknown poems such as the descriptions of seasons, morn, evening and night, descriptions of heroes and their ladies, descriptions of messengers, etc. can be seen in Elusandas Lakune. This is one of those, and it based on a separation of a carved cloud. Salasi kipil malaga lagge sandada akngal telehi lagge mahada tula mana yonada lagge kimeka unma desado lagge. Salasi kipil malaga lagge. The peacock, having moved his feathers, lodged on the top of the mountain. Sandada akngal telehi lagge. The moon came to the western mountain. Mahada tula mana yonada lagge. The Cupid stayed in my heart. Kimeka Umma Desanolaki. Why did she not stay with me? So, one example.